a splendid moment it is now. We'll take you through the details of the news that we have for you today. Let's get started. Just in, the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe dismisses reports suggesting that NOSTRO FC accounts will be raided by central banks as well as Treasury. Earlier, there were reports in main media as well as on social media suggesting or hinting that there could be a raid on NOSTRO FCA accounts. Now, this would be the statement issued by Central Bank in rebuttal of that particular notion. A statement here issued just about 2 hours ago, which says the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe would like to dismiss the social media reports suggesting that NOSTRO FCA accounts will be raided by the Reserve Bank as well as Treasury. And then a follow-up statement which says this assertion should be dismissed with the contempt it deserves. There hasn't been any change in the operation of the NOSTRO accounts. This, of course, comes as there are confidence issues that are raging within the economy. Clothing retailer TRUWORTHS reports revenue of 21 million Zimbabwean dollars as well as a profit after tax position of 2.8 million Zimbabwean dollars for the year ended 7 July 2019. TRUWORTHS says product volumes were constrained over the year due to forex shortages. Most of the merchandise is imported and the unavailability of foreign currency or its limited supply through the interbank market system has made it difficult for them to be able to source the material that they require from beyond our borders. Of interest is the fact that in the $21 million reported as revenue, TRUWORTHS, the brand, has contributed 31%. Topics, which is one of their other brands contributed 28%, while number one stores raked in about 30% of that particular revenue figure. Meanwhile, Grain Marketing Board raises producer prices for maize as well as traditional grains by 90% in a bid to encourage deliveries by farmers to the Grain Marketing Board. Effectively, the new producer price for maize stands at 4,000 Zimbabwean dollars as opposed to the previous $2,100 that was set by the Grain Marketing Board. Beyond our borders, Tanzania and Zambia over the weekend officially opened a one-stop border in a move meant to encourage trade between the two countries. The border cost a good $6 million United States dollars and was constructed by the Trademark East Africa, an entity set up to encourage infrastructural development in that particular region. Now, of note is the fact that this comes after the ratification of the African Continental Free Trade Area, which now has 53 countries in support of the trade bloc. This is an initiative by the continent to remove trade tariffs on goods traded on the continent by up to 90%. Mozambique government says ExxonMobil is set to sign off a $33 billion US deal for liquefied natural gas in a project in Mozambique at an event slated for the 8th of this month, which is of course tomorrow. It remains to be seen how the story actually plays out. Of interest is the fact that Mozambique has over the past 5 years been able to generate at least $22 billion in foreign direct investment, and this particular figure would bring a change or a shift to that matrix in particular. In the region, South Africa boasts as the number one attractor of foreign direct investment, having raked in a good $25 billion over the past 5 years. Now, this concludes our evening news bulletin. Up next is a look at the news in News Review. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, viewers. It's now time for news review, and with me on set is Chief Analyst Respect Kwenzi to crunch what we have just reported. Respect, good evening and welcome to the show.
It's always my pleasure. Good evening to you too. Good evening, viewers.
Beautiful. To cut to the chase, interesting developments here. RBZ issuing a statement dismissing that, look, the NOSTRO accounts are pretty much safe, and the statement goes, the Reserve Bank would like to dismiss social media reports suggesting that NOSTRO accounts will be raided by RBZ. But it's not just social media. One of the headlines for one of the mainline media houses was actually indicating that there was something taking place at one of the banks, which perhaps indicated that that's where things could be headed. What is your assessment of the situation that we are seeing developing here?
Yes, so I think we also, the late circular from FBC, which was doing rounds over the weekends in terms of how NOSTRO accounts will be treated going forward, that is individual NOSTRO accounts are funded based on NOSTRO inflows for salaries, etc. So the circular highlighted that there won't be any continual withdrawals without RBZ's consent, and also there has to be an application supported by a letter from the RBZ detailing how the final withdrawer will have to be utilizing the funds from his or her NOSTRO account. I think as a background, there's definitely a statute which came through when new exchange rules were gazetted earlier in the year, but it was also quite vague. I believe that this is a statute that had been instituted already, but it was not yet enforced. I think at that time when some of us highlighted it, the central bank and some of the people out there, they were quick to criticize, and obviously the RBZ took a step back and said, no, we haven't said that we are going to be raiding accounts. But that statute is simply now being implemented. If you have seen, there's no statutory instrument that was introduced over the past 1 week with regards to how NOSTRO accounts are going to be determined. So I think they're relying on a statute that was released earlier in the year, which I believe it was around April, May, thereabout. And this statute highlighted the need to scrutinize further how NOSTROs are utilized. But RBZ went on to publicly state that no, we are not going to be doing that. We are simply going to let people freely access their NOSTRO accounts. But speeding forward to this statement here, I think this statement is also quite vague. It does not, RBZ does not deny the fact that they are going to be there's certain measures that are put in place to try to guide how NOSTRO accounts for individuals are utilized. This statement suggests that would like to dismiss reports suggesting that NOSTRO accounts will be raided. It's not exactly raiding an account. It's simply implementing a measure which enforces that a withdrawer cannot do so without showing the explicit need of utilizing his or her flow in a certain direction. Whether justified or not justified, it does not equate to raiding. So I think RBZ tried to address it broadly, but they are not denying what is coming out in the media. In fact, one of the local presses actually ran a story today which highlighted that the RBZ governor actually agreed to the position which was being asserted in some of these circulars. So I don't think this is enough to try to settle issues that are doing rounds in terms of what RBZ is instituting in trying to manage individual NOSTRO accounts.
Fair enough, but what is the net effect of this? I mean, we've got confidence issues on the one hand, on the other hand, we've got issues to do with the RBZ trying to.
I think the Reserve Bank is in a fix. World over, the standard practice is that no one directly withdraws forex from their bank account. You can only access forex via your MasterCard and so forth. And even NGO employees in other jurisdictions, they might have their flows demarcated in USD, but they have to access them in the currency of the country in question where they will be playing their trade. But the Zimbabwe situation is such that there has been a gross weakness in our local exchange, and therefore RBZ saw it fit to retain the numbers in terms of the flows that were coming inside, and said, no, let's not tamper with this account. But then you cannot sustainably do that in such an environment. So RBZ was in a precarious position. It was in a diced position where they had to take a move, either to keep on those flows coming in, or they instantly cut NOSTROs, or they instantly institute these regulations on NOSTROs, and NGOs will start diverting the money. So they preferred at that point to let flows come. But now the challenge with flows coming in is that basically it sustains this USD mentality that we are trying to run away from. It also sustains pricing of certain assets such as accommodation and so forth in high-end market, which is still highly priced in USD. I think as well, if you see the NGO sector, it has equally been fueling the parallel market. So I think these are some of the concerns that RBZ now has to try to address, and at the end of the day find a balance between suiting the needs of sustaining flows, USD flows, and equally also trying to contain the surge on the parallel exchange. So I think these tightening measures are meant to address the side where the Zim dollar is quickly losing value on the parallel market. But in terms of implication, it's quite dual. You might minimize the prevalence of black market in that respect, but you are also minimizing your net inflows in terms of these NGOs bringing in money via the normal channels. You might start to see NGOs
activities happening by the side.
Yeah, you might see NGOs opening accounts in other jurisdictions outside Zimbabwe, or even the local companies. They might actually start instituting. They might actually start having USD indexed salaries as well. But I think you get the rationale in terms of the background. We are in a very precarious position. RBZ is trying to contain the demise of the Zim dollar, so they're trying everything that they can in terms of exchange control, in trying to govern the utilization and the inflows of forex into Zim. But some of these measures do have got side effects, and the side effect, like we've just said, is that then we might begin to see a gradual decline in remittances, a gradual decline in NGO flows, and similar institutions.
Interesting. At a broader scale, still GMB raises producer price by 90%. This of course happened during the course of the weekend. But how important is this particular initiative? We're moving from 2,100 per ton to 4,000 Zimbabwean dollars. How important is this particular development? So
if you look at the way these pricings are being done, I think it's now the third adjustment over the past 3 months alone. The recent review comes against a backdrop of worsening exchange rate. If you look at the last price of about 2,000, it was instituted around a time where the exchange rate was about 1:8. And that's around the time the minister presented his midterm budget review. And now the exchange rate has fallen from 8 to 16. I think that's almost a 100% gain, or whichever way you look at it. So I think this actually explains why there's almost a 90% increase in the price, in the producer price. It's actually a move trying to contain the import parity of bringing in such crops. The implications, I think you're right by stating that. From my viewpoint, the immediate implication is that it's going to cause government to expand beyond what it has budgeted for. Government actually buys grain from the producers, and they express that grain to millers, whereas to millers they then subsidize up to about 30 or so %. So by implication, you are paying more, whereas you have to also sell at a lesser price. So the margin of what you lose on paying more and what you get on selling less is your net loss position. and that loss position is covered for by government's budgetary deficit. So that's what that's what gives rise to your net deficit levels. So whereas we are expecting a 3.5 billion deficit for the year, EquityAxis clearly sees the deficit level moving above 5 billion, even closer to 6 billion. But of course, we are in October. The authorities have tried to contain the excesses in terms of our budget, but you can start to see the pressure. We started to see TBs of 30 million. We saw the 90 million package. We then saw 100 million, and now we're at 300 million. If you see the cumulative impact, we are now closing in on 500 million, and yet more is still to be, we'll see more treasury bills being issued over the next 1 to 2 months. And the net impact is that it bloats the budget deficit, and any deficit which is funded by flows from the private sector actually increases money supply. And when money supply increases, it actually means that our inflation is going to be worse off. It actually means that the net RTGS balances in the system will actually swell beyond the current USD levels, and by implication it also forces the exchange rate into a worse off position. So I think all the mechanics of how this happens is quite clear. When Mtuli presented his midterm policy, what he promised Zimbabweans was that he was not going to fund the budget through inflationary methods. Once you fund the budget deficit through issuances of TBs at an interest rate, and the margins or the volumes are quite huge, it means you are pushing more flow into the economy, and actually drives the net deposits up. It drives the net liquidity in the economy up, and what that does equally is to push the demand for forex. It also pushes demand for goods, and so inflation actually rages. So we are in a very precarious position, and this is actually a symptom of the kind of crisis that we are facing.
Right, quite a gloomy outlook. That is, this is also coming at a point where we've seen fuel prices scale.
Yes.
We have seen electricity tariffs jump 200%.
So it's actually a total carnage. I mean, all these things are quite predictable. I don't know why anyone would want to believe or not see exactly the way things are going to roll out over the next few months. I think what we are going to clearly see is a further value erosion in terms of our local currency. I don't believe that the RBZ or the central government has what it takes to contain this carnage in the market. I believe that once the exchange control fails, the next stage is going to be that of price controls. I envisage that before this year ends, we are going to see the implementation of price controls in a similar manner that we saw about a decade ago. I believe at that point the RBZ will become less, I mean, they won't have any power to stop such a central government measure. And equally, I don't also believe that Mtuli can actually stop this exercise when the time comes. The powers that be will tell them clearly that you guys have failed. We need to commandeer the economy, and we all know the result. So we are clearly heading towards 2008 at this rate. That's what I see.
Oh, thank you, respect for the perspectives. Thank you guys for staying with us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and to visit our informative website www.EquityAxis.net. From the EquityAxis team and I, Danke, and ciao.
Climbing to the top takes more than just hard work and smart choices. It's the passion that drives you from within, the endurance to keep going through difficult times, and having a very clear vision of how to succeed. That's what we strive for at CBZ. We're a diversified and innovative listed financial services group in Zimbabwe with a complete range of activities including banking, short and long-term insurance, asset management, and property investments. CBZ has been a pinnacle for stability in the economic landscape of Zimbabwe, stemming from our deep-rooted values, our excellent customer service delivery, and our corporate vision to strive for excellence as a global competitor. Our continuous investment in research and development will cement our promise to provide customer convenience utilizing state-of-the-art technology. Relationships are at the core of what we do. We understand, however, that strong, long-lasting partnerships are not built overnight. With over 3 decades of wealth management, we have come to understand our clients and their specific investment requirements. Our unique mix of skills ensures that investment opportunities are examined from all perspectives. The balancing rocks of Zimbabwe have weathered the elements for thousands of years and stood the test of time, like majestic reminders of the fine balance of nature. They challenge our perception of what is possible and what endures. Just as CBZ has weathered the economic storms and remained steadfast throughout the turbulence of unsettled economies. Achieving the impossible through resilience and stability, we balance the elements of hard work, dedication and experience, making us your ideal partner for success.